They returned home one day and caught sight of their hut in flames. Confronted by the horrific sight, the farmer and his wife, who was now heavily pregnant, decided to run away from the village. Once upon a time, there lived a very old woman who lived in the forest of a very small village. She lived in her small hut with her granddaughter Mauna. Mauna was blind and unable to leave her grandmother's hut because of how dangerous the forest was. Her grandmother warned her never to leave the hut, and Mauna, for all these years, has never left the forest. One afternoon, Mauna disobeyed her grandmother by leaving their hut. She made her way out of the forest and noticed that her eyes miraculously opened. It was as if a scale fell off her eyes, and Mauna was now able to see the beautiful scenery. Filled with excitement and curiosity, Mauna began to walk towards the village. She was so excited to finally see after so many years of being blind. As she was walking excitedly, she felt a tap on her shoulder, and to her greatest surprise, it was her grandmother, who asked what she was doing outside their hut. Her grandmother immediately grabbed her hand and began to walk briskly back to the hut. On their way back to the forest, three weird-looking men surrounded them trying to apprehend Mauna when her mother blew a powdery substance on their face, causing them all to fall into a deep sleep. Confused at what was happening, Mauna rushed back to the forest with her grandmother, who seemed so worried and terrified. When they got to their hut, Mauna's grandmother grabbed some of their belongings and told Mauna that they had to journey to a faraway place. They left their hut and began to walk deep into the forest. They walked for hours and saw a very dangerous snake that tried to strike Mauna. Mauna's grandmother smashed the snake's head with a rock, and Mauna was terrified as she could not understand why she was being attacked by strange people and things. She then summoned the courage to ask her grandmother why, and her grandmother began to tell her her story. Many years ago, a young handsome farmer and his wife were killed when they were trying to escape from the village. They returned home one day and caught sight of their hut in flames. Confronted by the horrific sight, the farmer and his wife, who was now heavily pregnant, decided to run away from the village as their lives were now in danger. On their way out of the village, they were lynched by some angry villagers who were aggrieved at the fact that the farmer had brought calamity upon their village. What had happened was that many months ago, the young farmer, who was popularly known around the village as Kelechi, met a very beautiful girl by the village stream. Her name was Mma, and she lived with her grandfather, who was a renowned chief in the village. Mma and Kelechi fell in love so quickly as their connection was instant. One day, Mma realized that she was pregnant and informed Kelechi, who decided to marry her. Kelechi loved Mma so much and was willing to do anything for her. He approached her grandfather to ask for her hand in marriage, and soon they both got married and began to live their lives as husband and wife. Many months later, Kelechi was home when he heard a loud bang on his door. He rushed to open the door and was notified that his wife and himself had been summoned by the chief priest to appear in the village shrine. Confused as to why their presence was required at the village shrine, Kelechi and his wife decided to honor the chief priest's invitation. When they got to the shrine, the chief priest looked at them and exclaimed, Arueme, which means abomination in the Igbo dialect. Kelechi and Mma looked at themselves in confusion as they tried to understand what was happening. It was then that the chief priest revealed to them that they were siblings, born of the same father but of different mothers. Kelechi and Mma began to shake in fear as they could not comprehend the shocking revelation. The chief priest then explained that their late father, Chief Uzo, was a respected chief in the village who was promiscuous in his dealings with women. He fathered Kelechi with his wife and had a secret affair with another young woman who got pregnant and gave birth to Mma and never disclosed to anyone, not even her father, that Chief Uzo was responsible for her pregnancy. The young woman, who was Mma's mother, died with the truth, which has resulted in this great calamity. Filled with fear, Kelechi grabbed his pregnant wife and began to run, as he knew that the villagers would kill them to cleanse the land from the abomination that they had unknowingly committed. They rushed home, but before they got there, their hut was already set ablaze, so they decided to run out of the village. On their way out of the village, they were lynched by a group of angry villagers who believed that the union of Kelechi and Mma had brought a curse upon the village. They accused them of bringing calamity upon the whole land, and to remedy this, Kelechi and Mma had to die. But before they were killed, Mma went into labor and miraculously delivered a baby girl as everyone watched. Shortly afterwards, they were killed, and the angry villagers then began to look for the baby. They searched the whole village for her, but the baby was long gone, as the old woman took the baby when no one was watching. That was how Mauna began to live with the old woman, who lived deep in the forest alone. The old woman knew that the villagers would kill the baby, so she did everything possible to keep Mauna away from them. When the villagers failed to find the baby, they consulted a very dangerous deity to help them find the baby by putting the mark of death on her spiritually. However, the old woman fortified her hut in a way that the evil deity would be unable to find the baby. She also made Mauna blind to stop her from exploring the forest and attracting the attention of the evil deity. However, when Mauna disobeyed the old woman by leaving the hut, the evil deity located her and began to do everything possible to kill her. Mauna was frightened to hear this dark and painful history, but she also felt a profound sense of gratitude towards the old woman for protecting her all these years. Mauna, still confused as to who the old woman was to her, asked the old woman who she was, and the old woman revealed that Mauna's mother helped her many years ago when no one in the village was willing to help. She felt an obligation that day to keep Mauna safe as a way to repay Mma back for her kindness. Tears rolled down Mauna's eyes as they continued on their journey deep into the forest. As they were walking, they saw a huge lightning in the sky, and the old woman immediately gave Mauna a sacred amulet to hold, which shielded them from the evil deity's influence. After a few hours of walking, Mauna and the old woman arrived at the entrance of a distant village where the deity would be unable to penetrate. As they were about crossing into the village, the chief priest appeared behind them with a group of hefty-looking men. They intercepted them and took Mauna away to their village shrine. Sad and defenseless, Mauna began to scream for help as she did not want to die. The old woman was locked up far away from where they kept Mauna, and the story the old woman told Mauna about her parents began to ring in Mauna's head like a bell, filling her with so much fear. As night slowly fell, the chief priest began the ritual to consult the gods. The villagers all gathered around the shrine, anxious to witness the outcome of the divine intervention. The chief priest, in a trance-like state, began to communicate with the gods. After what felt like an eternity, he emerged and his expression was a mix of confusion and shock. The gods had finally spoken, revealing a truth that shattered the villagers' beliefs about Mauna. Mauna was found pure and untouched by the abomination that plagued her late parents. The chief priest revealed that Mauna's mother, Mma, was raped by an unknown man who took advantage of her one night in her father's farm. This was before she got married to Kelechi, who she told the whole truth before he proceeded to ask for her hand in marriage. Kelechi loved Mma so much and was willing to marry her regardless of what had happened. Unknowing to him, the child Mma was carrying was not his child, but the child of the man who took advantage of her that night. The unexpected twist of events was shocking to the villagers who had condemned Mauna for years and wished for her death. Mauna, still trembling from the fear of being killed, was released from the shrine. The chief priest, with a heavy heart, approached Mauna to apologize for the unjust accusations levied against her. The king of the village, having heard from the chief priest that Mauna was innocent, offered Mauna a house to live in the village as well as a huge parcel of land for farming. The king and the entire village were remorseful for how they treated Mauna and did all they could to make it right by her. That was how Mauna, who was once considered an outcast in the village, found herself embraced by the same villagers who wanted her dead. The old woman, at the request of Mauna, moved into the house given to Mauna by the king. She became a respected figure in the village for protecting Mauna even at the cost of her own freedom. The lesson to be learned from this story is that judging others without understanding their true story can lead to grave injustice. Also, the old woman's selfless act of protecting Mauna, despite the personal sacrifices involved, teaches us that acts of kindness can reshape the destinies of others. Learn to be kind and considerate towards others, as this is the right thing to do always. I hope you enjoyed the story.
Like, subscribe and leave a comment. It helps us grow our channel. I'll see you in our next story. Bye.